Hi guys, I'm here with my December reading wrap up. Happy New Year guys, I can't believe 2013 is over. I hope everyone that celebrated had a wonderful Christmas and a fantastic start to 2014. So yeah, this is going to be all the books that I read in December. There will be my top 13 books of 2013 video. I haven't recorded it yet, but look out for that. That should be up within the next couple of weeks. That's kind of a priority video. The video after this will probably be my Christmas book haul, and then after that will probably be my top 13. So keep your eye out for that. So yeah, I read 8 books in December. 5 physical books, 3 ebooks. As always, I'll start with the physical books first. The first book that I read in December was Daughter of the Forest by Juliette Marillier. This is sort of a fairy tale / fantasy read. This took me quite a long time to read, like over a week, which is quite bad for me. But it's not that I wasn't enjoying it, it's just very wordy. I wouldn't say it's kind of high fantasy, kind of not high fantasy. Basically, Sorcia is, I think she's just barely 13 when her stepmother curses her brothers. She turns them into geese, and the magical entity known as the Lady of the Forest tells Sorcia that she can save her brothers by weaving them each a shirt from scratch made out of this weed. Now this weed is like covered in thorns. It ruins Sorcia's hand, so if she suffers through it and makes these shirts for her brother, she'll save them. But at the same time, she can't speak. She can't speak at all. She can't cry out in pain. Yeah, so she just has to stay silent. It was really interesting. Really enjoyed it. It was a lot darker than I was expecting. Sorcia goes through some terrible things. For me, it was slow, but like I said, it was not because it was bad, it was just very wordy. For me, the whole pacing picked up at almost the halfway point. It's when Red comes into the picture. He's a young Briton who takes Sorcia away. And I wish that the romance element had sort of been more. I was looking for a little bit more between them, and there was a romance element, but it all sort of came together at the end. I wanted there to be just like a little bit more, but overall I really enjoyed it. And what did I end up giving this in the end? 4 out of 5 stars. I will read the rest of the books in the series. Yeah, really enjoyed that one. The next physical book that I read was the buddy read choice for me and Ryan, and it's The Land of Stories, The Enchantress Returns. I absolutely blazed through this book. I don't want to say too much because Ryan and I do plan to do a video on this one, but I had a lot of expectation around this book because the Wishing Spell I read last year, and it was the first middle grade book I'd ever picked up, and it completely converted me. I absolutely just fell in love with it. The whole world, the writing, the characters, everything about it was so perfect. You really hesitate to use that word when reviewing, but it really was just perfect. Everything in that book just comes together so beautifully. But it's exactly the same with book 2. Can't really fault it. Absolutely fell in love with it. You meet you meet even more of the fairy tale characters. For example, you meet Mother Gooseskin, which was absolutely brilliant. I really liked everything about it. If I had to find any criticism at all, and it's so minor, it doesn't affect my love of it at all, it's that the whole plot of it is very similar to book 1, in that in book 1 Alex and Connor have to find the ingredients for a wishing spell. In this one they travel across all the kingdoms looking for ingredients for a wand to, you know, vanquish the I can't speak, I'm sorry the enchantress. So it's very, that aspect of it is exactly the same. I feel like it could have been different, but I really look forward to book 3 and hope that, you know, it's not them traipsing around the fairy tale world looking for more ingredients for a wand or a spell or something. But yeah, absolutely love this. 5 out of 5 stars without a doubt. The next physical book that I read was a Christmas themed book, and it's Catching Snowflakes by Nora Roberts. This is one of her bind ups, Local Hero and A Will and a Way. They're just really short, quick, contemporary romance reads. I'd actually read A Will and a Way before, but this was before I had my channel and before I had Goodreads and stuff, so that was quite nice to read, because that we're talking about 4 or 5 years ago that I read this now. But yeah, I like reading Christmas themed books around Christmas, but I'm sure I've said on this channel before, I definitely have in blog posts, that I don't specifically go out of my way to buy a Christmassy book just because it's Christmassy. If it's written by like an author I like, or an author that I've wanted to read, then obviously I'll get it, but just because it's a Christmas themed book I won't pick it up. I just don't see the point. But this was fortuitous that Nora Roberts' Christmas book. Really enjoyed it. It wasn't anything overly special, but it was light, quick, and like fun to read, so I gave it 4 out of 5. I also reread a book in December, a physical book, but I don't actually have the physical book with me because I've let my mum borrow it, and it was Heart on a Chain by Cindy C. Bennett. I have been hankering to read this one again for a little while, so I decided to get and read it. Obviously, I talk about that book all the time on this channel. 5 out of 5 stars, that will never change. Absolutely 100% love that book. The last physical book that I read in December was a Regency historical romance book, and that's A Rogue by Any Other Name by Sarah MacLean. And as I've told you guys before, these are kind of my guilty pleasure reads. I hadn't actually read a Sarah MacLean book before. This was a book that I picked up when I went to the Little Brown blogger party back in September. So I decided to pick this one up because, you know, be a quick light read to read in December. And it was. I did definitely enjoy it. Basically, Penelope and Michael were childhood friends. Michael, when he was 21, then gambled away his estate, and kind of disappeared, went into hiding. He lost everything, and he lost contact with Penelope. Years later, he's built up a sort of a gaming hell in London, one of the big famous gaming hells, and he's determined to get his revenge on the man that made him lose everything. And Penelope has his land attached to her dowry, and so he basically forces her to marry him. He starts off as a bit of an unlikable character, you really don't take to him, but really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 out of 5. If you like your Regency romance reads, I would suggest picking this one up. I wouldn't say it's my favourite Regency ever, but it was still very enjoyable, and I definitely intend to check out more of her books. On to the Kindle books that I read in December. I read Fantasy Christmas by Cindy C. Bennett, Stephanie Flowers and Sherry Gammon. I just didn't really enjoy this one at all. Cindy C. Bennett I was really looking forward to because she wrote Heart on a Chain and Geek Girl, which are 2 of my all-time favourite books, but it was just very painful to read. It's basically about elves in the North and South Pole, and this one elf is hiding a secret. She's part fairy, which she feels would be frowned upon, and she's hiding her secret. Santa has asked her to build a dance hall with another elf called Sebastian. They don't get on, he's very moody, etc, etc. The romance element just didn't work. It didn't feel like the characters grew in any way, shape or form, or, you know, grew closer together. It just fell completely flat, so I was really disappointed with that one. Stephanie Flowers' story I felt was even worse. It's set around Greek mythology in Regency England. I felt like none of the story was explained. I felt it was just so terrible. The romance element in that didn't work at all. They spend the whole thing hating each other and suddenly bam, they're in love and together. It made no sense whatsoever. The whole Greek mythology aspect of it was not explained. It was just terrible. Really didn't enjoy that. Sherry Gammons was the best of the bunch, but it was still not as good as her Port Fair series. Basically, I can't remember their names, but this young witch falls in love with this guy when they're at school, but two sisters drive a wedge between them. They tell her that she's dating someone else, and then he moves away. Years later, he moves back, and they sort of find each other again. They're on a mission to stop these bootleggers selling moonshine, and they just grow close. It was really sweet, not believable in any way, shape, or form, but it was much cuter than the other stories. I gave it 2 out of 5. It was highly disappointing. But yeah. The next Kindle book that I read in December was The Way You Look Tonight by Bella Andre. This is book 9 in her Sullivan series. I absolutely adore this series. I started reading it in January 2013, so it's a series that has seen me right through the year. I absolutely just love it. It's they're basically about a big family, and each story is about a different member of that family finding love, and it's just a really super sweet contemporary romance. Really recommend them if you like that sort of thing. I wouldn't say you absolutely have to read them in order, but I feel you get more out of it if you do start with book 1. But the next book that I read in December is book 10 in the Sullivan series, which is Kissing Under the Mistletoe. I would say you definitely can't read this book first in the series. This is about Mary and Jack, and Mary is the Sullivan family matriarch. She's the mother of all the Sullivans, and it's not really a spoiler. You find out in book 1 very early on that Jack actually died quite young, leaving Mary and his children, and so you wouldn't really get the depth of like the feeling of that if you started with this book. It wouldn't really, you wouldn't connect with it in the same way, whereas because I've read all the other 9 books in the series, you know the family, you know about Jack, and but you wanted to know how they met, their story. So from the very beginning, this was a very bittersweet book because you always wanted to know how Jack and Mary got together, but you also know that they got there happily ever after, but you also know that he passed away. So it was very bittersweet. It was lovely to find out how they met. It was really cute. Really enjoyed this one as well. I gave The Way You Look Tonight, which was book 9 in the series, 4.5 out of stars, and I gave Kissing Under the Mistletoe 4 out of 5 stars. So that was everything that I read in December. As it is the end of December, beginning of January, I feel I should let you know how I did on my Goodreads reading challenge. I did complete my challenge. I set myself 105 books to read. I surpassed that. I read 131 books in 2013. I'm really pleased with that. As I'm recording this, I haven't set my goal for 2014, but I imagine that I will be taking part in the challenge. I just don't know what to set the number at yet. But that's everything I read in December. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you've read any of these, let me know down below. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and have a good year.